Council, you said that you were going to cut aid from South Africa. Will you plan to cut aid across other African nations, and why South Africa?
No, it's only South Africa. Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So that's under investigation right now. We'll make a determination. And until such time as we find out what South Africa is doing, they're taking away land, they're confiscating land, and actually they're doing things that are perhaps far worse than that.
And on the Fed.
Hello, good people, and welcome to another section of the show. And this section, we will be discussing about Africa. All right, guys, the way I just put it blank is because I want us to reason it out together. You know, it's been centuries after centuries when Africans were in slavery. They lived from slavery to appetite, to liberalism. But actually, a lot of Africans have never been free. A lot of Africans are still colonized by those that colonized them long time ago. And just because they don't longer live in the country or control those countries physically, most of the citizens, they think they are not still being colonized. All right, starting from West African, looking at the numbers of countries that are using CFA, it's over 23 countries that are using CFA, and that is Frank's money. So even though their lands were liberated, their banks were still colonized. All their financial institutions are still colonized. And when you want to do a transaction, especially when you're dealing with francs, and maybe you need to deal with dollar, you need to go through. They need to first of all convert it to what the francs are using, which is the euro, before they give you the equivalence in dollars. And only through those trade, that's totally crazy. And that is why it's been so difficult for a lot of African countries to grow. And the worst of it is that even though most of them are colonized, but they still hold crazy deals that still keep them in bondage. Like, for example, if you want to look at mineral exploitation in Africa, you'll see that at least 85 countries are being exploited by foreign companies. And the worst of it is that they don't build processing factories in that country. It takes a few $billion to build like factories to process things like fuel, or a few $1 million to process stuff like gold. But if you look at our mining industries, they deal in multi billions. So if you want to compare the equivalence to what they could have used to even build refinery factories, you'll see that it's not even up to 5% of what they're actually extracting. And the reason why they don't do that is because they don't want Africans to benefit from that. And they're not only stealing African jobs, they're actually stealing African money. And come to think of it, just look at all African countries running almost a billion and half people. Look at their cloth markets, for example. More than 90% of the clothes are imported. Look at their shoe factories. More than 90% are still exported. Look at their jewelries, gold, steel factories. And to the very least, all of them are imported. And how do Africa plan to actually be rich? Because sometimes when we look at restrictions, especially when you go to Europe and America, and it's very difficult just to have a visa, even a visitor visit, a visa just to visit those places. And they make it feel like heaven. And those places are built with our own money. Without us, it will be they'll have no different with the worst country you can think in Africa. So the honest truth is that the problem is us, and we need to rise because we are the ones that we put our governments in power. And if we speak, they will listen. We should copy from countries just like Burkina Faso, and you copy from countries like Chad that are actually totally cutting off from those their masters, and they have their own currency. Because what then that does is they put you in control. If you want to associate with America, China, Russia, or EU, you do that as partners, not as slaves, because they have seen us Africans as slaves for too long. And it's just for you and I to stand up and say this must end, and it will end. And how long do you think Africans will continue in this trade if they don't want to produce their own things, if they don't want to produce their own factories, if they keep stealing the best and the best of our talent? And you know, if you go out, one of the best doctors, one of the best scientists, one of the best engineers, they are from Africa. And you cannot actually blame them because they run there for the cash, and the governments are not rich enough to be able to return those engineers, to be able to return those scientists. And they are benefiting from our talent. And we have African is one of the richest continent on earth with everything from gold to diamond to lithium to everything you can think of. It's time for Africa to wake up. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and what steps you as an individual you are going to build this drive to make Africa strong again. I will see you in the next section. If you have not yet liked, share, and subscribe, please do that now. And we love you. Cheers.